Welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. There's nobody here. That's my right-hand man is not here tonight. And Mark Tribble, joined by Rod Self in the studio. We're going to throw this back to Hats Off podcast days, Rod. Tim Mack, the loyal and devoted Phillies fan that he is off watching the Phils. He may even be at this game. I'm not sure. He may be huddled in a closet somewhere with, just worried, shaking, trembling. The game is on in here. We do have it on. We're watching. I know most everybody who's watching the show tonight is either a Mets fan or a Phillies fan, so we'll see what happens. It'll probably transpire during this game. But, Rod, thank you for taking care of business, man, and look at that. You got the new O hat on. Was out at Ohio State this week.
Yes, for sure. It was a good trip. Really good trip. Got to see some Jersey kids play and just got to spend time with family. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And you probably have this on the background while you're watching the baseball, but that's all good. As long as you're in here, thank you again I want to give a shout out first off to our presenting sponsor, the West Jersey Football Coaches Association, established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. And in less than 3 years, they've done just that. The association created the Battle at the Beach and has dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. They've also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for your sponsorship of the show. Also, quick shout out to Dave O'Sullivan, the founder of South Jersey Glory Days, sjglorydays.com. Sully, you will see him out Thursday night at our Game of the Week, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. We'll talk about the Game of the Week. A little bit of a shake-up in the rankings. Had some good games last week. We got some really good knots of the week to share as well. A lot of good stuff today as we're multitasking. We're a little bit Bo Jackson, football and baseball. First off, let's get to the game of the week. Rod, I was at this game, Holy Spirit St. Augustine down in Upseek, and Holy Spirit wins this game 14-10. I'll tell you what, through 3 quarters, it looked like they didn't have a shot. St. Augustine, I thought, controlled the game. I thought they were, they were grinding them out. They were playing good defense. Holy Spirit didn't have much to speak of offensively. They get 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives. They stun the Prep. Emmanuel Jarena gets a game-winning touchdown catch. He's uncovered on the goal line somehow. Taylor Cartwright caught a touchdown. He also had an interception that sealed the deal. Ty Costabile has done a great job at quarterback for them, and he did it again in crunch time. The Spartans are a team that they're going to bring their hard hat. We've talked about that in the past. They are going to bring it every night out. But for much of this game, the game was dictated to them by the Prep. I thought it was just a classic holy war. Defensive struggle, comes down to the end. A couple plays here or there make the difference. But in the end, it was Jarena. It was Costabile. It was the defense of Holy Spirit, which is one of the best defenses in the area, that gets it done. Rod, I was shocked, man. I'll be honest with you, watching the way the game transpired. I think a lot of people were surprised that the Spartans got it done, given the way that the first half had gone.
Yeah, for sure. Even coming into the game, I think a lot of people had St. Aug. They thought that they were going to be.
We had them ranked higher.
Yeah.
I mean, we did.
For sure. And, to watch some of the scores, I was not at any games, but I was able to see the scores, and just to see it, I was kind of like wondering what was going on, like how it's playing out. And to hear you describe it right there kind of puts some context to it.
Classic defensive struggle. I think in the past, like when the Prep plays a big game, usually when they're on the winning side of that, the game almost like lulls you to sleep a little bit because it is so methodical. It's 3 yards, it's 3 yards, 3 yards, long drives. Even if you don't get points, you're changing field position, you're taking time off the clock, and you kind of look around and think like, man, we've been here a while, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really how it felt. But to get a couple big plays in the passing game for Holy Spirit specifically, they do a really good job of reading and hitting some seam routes. Mm-hmm. Jarena, yes, he is a Donovan Catholic transfer. His brother, Isaiah, played at Holy Spirit a few years ago.
Okay.
And Jarena's an all-South Jersey kid. I mean, you could see it the way that he competes, the way that he plays. He does it defensive back. He does it at receiver. He runs in motion. He runs the ball. The biggest play of the game offensively, really outside of the game-winning touchdown, was, I think, a 43-yard run he took on the outside on that last scoring drive. So really, another good episode of this rivalry. They've alternated wins the last 6 times they've played. They'll play again next year. They'll probably play again the year after that, the year after that, and the year after that. So really a classic from the game of the week, Rob.
Yeah, but that's what we expect once we, pick the game of the weeks. You want them to be really competitive games. Normally somebody jumps out and they kind of, that kind of puts them on the radar, so to say, because a lot of people have a lot of eyes on that game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it got me thinking, and I know last week we were talking about the best players you've seen or you coached against or you played with, and the thing I was thinking about is what's the best ending or the most shocking finish you've seen? I wouldn't say this Holy Spirit St. Augustine game was that. I've seen some crazy games in the past at Holy Spirit. Specifically, they played Delsey one year. I think they were down 2 touchdowns with like 5 minutes left. They end up forcing overtime. They go to double overtime and win that game. I know we had a crazy game this weekend, went to triple overtime. We'll touch on that a little bit. But in terms of a game that just flipped on its head, I can think of a couple off the top of my head here. Camden Catholic and Shawnee a few years ago. Shawnee seemed to have the game wrapped up, and the next thing you knew, Camden Catholic came down and scored 2 or 3 times to steal that win on the road. But a game I remember, and this was back when I was in Virginia, so this is more than a decade ago. But I watched a game one time, Rod, where the team that was losing was a wing T team, and they had about a minute to go down the field. They ran a perfect hook and ladder play. The kid is running for nothing but green in front of him to score an 80-yard touchdown. He cramps in both legs and falls at like the 50. And they end up getting a Hail Mary on the final play. They're down by 1. They fake the extra point. They pitch it to now Cleveland Browns offensive lineman Wyatt Teller on a shovel, inside shovel pass. He rumbles in, no time on the clock. They win by 1. And I remember standing out in the middle of the field. I didn't even know how I got there. I mean, the game was over. My jaw was dropped. Like, what happened? So there's always memories like that, but I want to hear from everybody who's watched and send in your comments. What is the game that flipped on its head in the fourth quarter and left you shocked that you witnessed?
I mean, one we saw last year was Township in Winslow.
That's right. Yeah, Hail Mary.
That Hail Mary, that was one, people thought Winslow was going to win that one, and Township wound up pulling that one out.
That was a wild game because in that one, Township had that 2-touchdown lead. Winslow, Parker, he gets in there, the freshman, brings them back. And then the next thing you know, it comes down to that final heave, and you're thinking, there's no way this would happen, right? Winslow has done the job, and there it was. And both programs since then have been up in the top of our rankings. They will be again this week. A lot of action last week, some interesting scores. Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. We got a lot of games on 3 days, so we're going to go through 2, Ron.
Can I give you something?
Yeah,
I just want listen. So I went out to Ohio, as you know, and there's a school. It's a KIPP school right up the street. So I'm like, hey, let's go watch the game. So me and Mike, we walk up, we go to the game, get to the gate. I'm thinking it's $3 or $5. $10 for a regular season game.
$10.
$10, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Donation. Hey, got it. $20.
I don't even want to ask how much the hot dogs were.
We didn't get that far. We literally walk in the game. It's the first quarter. We sit down. Team scores. It's 36-0 in the first quarter. So we watched a couple plays play out, and the other team got the ball back again, and they went right down the field and scored. Looked at Mike, and I was like, yeah, I'm not sitting through this one. We got up and left and just left the donation. But I say that to say there's, sometimes you just want to get your football fix. Yeah. And I was just fiending to see a game. I just wanted to see some game. But we wind up catching another game. We watched it on TV, and it was actually a good game. But I just had to get my fix. I just had to tell you that one, man.
You got to get your fix. There's no question. When you don't have a game to go to and you're sitting around, you're thinking, this just doesn't feel right.
It didn't feel right at all.
Friday nights, it just doesn't feel right. Not saying that. So be sure to let us know what the wildest finish you've seen in high school football. I put it in the Facebook chat here, and it's pinned up. We want lots of comments, lots of feedback. We'll talk about all the stuff that's going on in South Jersey. But again, the game of the week last week, Holy Spirit 14, St. Augustine 10, shook up our rankings a little bit. We'll get to that at the end. Ice Cups touchdown in the playoff game against RV. I was there for that as well. Come on, that one was pretty special too. Stay tuned. We'll go through some of those, some of your comments. We'll be back right after this with the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show's presenting sponsor is the West Jersey Football Coaches Association. The West Jersey Football Coaches Association was established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. And in less than 4 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for their sponsorship of the show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy show is also sponsored by SRA Home Products. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had nothing but the best to say about Mike Foti in the time I've had the chance to be around him and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up Best of South Jersey awards throughout their past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy show is also sponsored by the NJFOA South Officials Association. Are you passionate about football? Don't wait. Become a part of the NJFOA South Officials Association and join them to help officiate high school football games. With a diverse community of more than 250 members, they proudly oversee every high school football game in South Jersey, setting the standard for officiating in the state. By joining the chapter, you will become part of a team that upholds the highest standards in the game. They are more than just officials. They're advocates for sportsmanship, integrity, and guardians of player safety, champions of fair play. They offer the proper training to ensure you're ready to make the calls and uphold the values. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Visit www.njfoasouth.org and hit Join Us to register now. That's www.njfoa-south.org and hit Join Us to register now. Elevate your love for the game and become a football official with NJFOA South. Welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. I know many of you have been waiting for this, and here's the time. We're going to talk about Pennsauken High School football in the 1980s. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. You get plenty of that on the other episodes. Mac's not here tonight. When I wasn't here, I watched the show. I was getting a little bit of ribbing from afar, so we're going to give some back to Mac. We're not going to talk about the Hickses. We're not going to talk about the Griggs. We're not going to talk about any of those guys. I still haven't received our royalty payments from the Pennsauken alumni chapter because we always pump them up. Again, Mac is off watching the Phils somewhere. I'm sure sweating it out. Let's talk about what happened last week. Rob, we talked about the game of the week, Holy Spirit, St. Augustine, but some other good games. Thursday night, this was a meaningful game for St. Joe. They beat Buna 47-19. 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground for Anthony Salamone of St. Joe. Hanif Hernandez, 19 carries, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This is Ron Dorsey's first win at St. Joe. It's a first win in the post-Sacco era. It's been 16 games. When you're trying to rebuild a program and start from scratch, we've seen it now with some other programs that in Eustis and Cross and Camden Catholic and Riverside. There's some programs that have come a long way. You got to start somewhere. And for St. Joe, it felt like, I'm sure, it was hard to find that place to start. But they get their first win, 47-19 over Buna. Congratulations, Coach Dorsey.
Congratulations.
And the Wildcats for getting on the board there. Also, Thursday night, a rivalry game that used to take place on Turkey Day. Woodbury beats Gateway 35-6. Tim Holmes at quarterback throws for a touchdown for the Herd. He also ran for 2. Kadeem Woods, 13 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown. And Marquise Taylor, a receiving touchdown, and one of our knots of the week. Rod, I believe you have it.
Yes, sir.
Let's throw that thing up there, man. Thank you, Colin, for sending this in. Look at this. All right, it's enough to make that catch over the shoulder, bobbles it, little Willie Mays action since we're talking baseball, and then all the way back. I remember that field. The coldest game I ever covered in my life was at Gateway. No question about it. And Tim, Marquise Taylor takes it in to the house, one of our knots of the week. We got some good ones this week, and that certainly deserved mention as Woodbury beats Gateway 35-6. Friday, we talked about Winslow coming off that big game against Millville, coming off the big game against St. Augustine. what would the Eagles do? Would they look a little bit past Camden, like you said, they're up the highway, right? Little Camden Winslow, a lot of familiarity. Well, I don't think they look past them, Rod. 40-6. They put it on the Panthers.
Yeah, they put it on the Panthers. But one thing we could say about Winslow is they are stamping the fact that they're the number one team in South Jersey. I think they've been waiting to get to this point a couple of years. This has been in the making. It's been in, building and building up. And, Coach Belton and the Eagles, they did a tremendous job. I was watching that one too on Derek's Live.
Yeah.
I got to watch that while I was walking around. But, yeah, it was close early. But Winslow, they showed why they're the number one team.
You start watching week after week, and these guys, they end up filling up the stat sheet. You get to know them just by what they do every day. Nakeem Powell, certainly one of those 8 receptions, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. We talked about him last week and the week prior. He just gets it done for Winslow. Jalen Parker, 22 of 27, 297 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. Also had an interception, but didn't matter. Roman Duckett, Karan Ali, each run for a touchdown as Winslow wins it 40-6. The number one team in South Jersey shows why. Camden's a very good team. Winslow just absolutely took it to them. Millville coming off the loss to Winslow. They get back on track with a 23-7 win over Delsey. Latsier Brooks catches a touchdown. He's the first receiver in South Jersey history to reach 4,000 career receiving yards. Congratulations to Brooks. Jaden Jones and Darnell Williams each get a scoop and score 2 knots for Millville as they take care of Delsey 23-7. Glassboro 51, Deptford 0. Chris Foster, quarterback, 3 touchdowns passing. Kenny Smith, 11 carries, 193 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Amari Saab, this is ultimate level of efficiency from Amari Saab. 3 receptions, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Jeez.
3 touches, three touchdowns. That's not too bad. And not only that, Rod, punt return for touchdown. One of the best players in South Jersey, man. There's no question.
Unbelievable.
They keep it undefeated, Glassboro, and they have another test this week. They play Cinnaminson. We'll see what happens there. But they certainly are playing the part of the team everyone expected to be there in Group 1. Atlantic City 34 to Vineland. 6-4 wins in a row for the Vikings after an 0-2 start. Peaky Roseboro continues to do what he does. 7 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Great job by him. Kyrie Barksdale, 16 carries, 74 yards, and another touchdown as the Vikings roll past Vineland. Cherokee and Shawnee. Cherokee now makes it, I think, 5 years in a row beating Shawnee. Maybe it's 4. Either way, the seniors there have never lost to Shawnee. They win 7-3. Murad Campfield, 39 carries, 216 yards. Cooper Birdie with the only touchdown of the game. 3-game losing streak for the Chiefs is over. 7-3, Rod. 39 carries for Campfield.
39 carries that's OD.
Yeah.
That's a bell cow.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of those games you get into. Those 39 carries, he probably was turning it out. They probably couldn't get some other things going. I mean, 39 is a lot of carries, but he seems to be able to carry that on his shoulders.
Cherokee's defense also did a great job in this game against Shawnee. You got to say that they were great. I saw Shawnee's stats. They didn't have much to speak of there. Cherokee 7, Shawnee 3 in that rivalry game. Washington Township beats Lenape 35-26. Colequino 296 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Paris Pratt 10 receptions, 186 yards and a touchdown. And Caleb Palaganis, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, Andrew Osborne each run for a touchdown. Timber Creek 24, Willingboro 20. Tyrone Baker 115 yards passing. Eric Worley pick 6. Zaire Green and Kadir Baldwin a receiving touchdown each. Rod, Timber Creek, they find a way to navigate that. They had the setback against Delsey, but a big win for them against Willingboro.
Yeah, huge win against Willingboro. That was a game that people were kind of anticipating. Willingboro, they've been playing very, very well. They had a setback when they played against Paul Six, but this was a game that they thought they can come back into and get that game. And we see it was a pretty close game, so it was good. It was good to see them pull it out.
Burlington Township remains undefeated. They win the Battle of the Burlingtons. Township over City 42-8. Yatir Tapia, 2 receiving touchdowns. Aiden Binns, 13 carries, 82 rush yards and a touchdown. And Quaid Hendricks with one of our knots of the week, right, Rod?
Yes, sir.
Let's pull it up. Let's see what Mr. Hendricks did as the Falcons continue to do what they've been doing. Look at this here. All right, little bobble, decides to take it, and decisive. North and south, finds a hole, and man, he is fast. My God. That's a lot faster than it looked the first time I watched it.
Yeah,
You sure you didn't fast forward that?
No fast forward. It was not speeded up. But what I'll say is he caught that. Once he caught that crease, he hit it as fast as he could. He didn't play around with it. And the pursuit angles weren't the best on that one, but he made them pay for it.
No
Touchdown.
question. Mainland 14, Ocean City 0. The bridge will be green. Rocco DiBiaso comes back after a couple weeks out. He runs for a touchdown. Lucas DiBiaso, fumble recovery in the end zone for a knot as Mainland beats Ocean City 14-0. Woodstown 24, Pleasantville 12. Bryce Belafonte 24 carries, 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. RV beats Williamstown 28-7. Savion Adams been filling up the stat sheet, 211 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Montre Wilson runs for touchdowns, catches 1. Brody Dieter, 9 receptions, 108 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Red Devils in their win over Williamstown. Cedar Creek gets by local rival Oak Crest. Riley Hoffacker throws for a touchdown and runs for 1. Amir Dunmar been putting up big stats all year for the Pirates. 24 carries, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. Haddonfield beats West Deptford in the rivalry clash that always is close. They win 30-28. Kai Richards for the Haddons. How about this game? 12 carries, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Keenan has a kick return touchdown. Brody Leonard runs for a touchdown. That's the type of effort you need in a game that you know it's going to come down to it. The kick return touchdown, the run touchdown. I mean, look, this was John Emmel's first game in this rivalry, and judging by the way that it transpired, I think that it's going to be pretty fun with him in this big match every year.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the what do they call this series though? Do they have a name for it?
It was 295.
Okay. It was. I mean, we've seen some classics over the years,
Yeah.
and with Coach Emmel in there, it's definitely going to be a back and forth thing. I don't see this being one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, look, it seems like it always comes down to possession, right? A classic rivalry. Another rivalry that doesn't get the love and has been down lately because the programs haven't been quite as good as they've been in the past, but had another good edition of it on Friday night as Cumberland beat Bridgeton 24-20. I think it's Bridgeton's first loss. R.J. Pierce, 30 carries, 183 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Colts. Congratulations to them. Kingsway beats Hamilton 28-3. Cole Denick, 17 carries, 3 touchdowns, 114 yards. Delran beats Heightstown 44-7. Big game for Vinny Sacca. 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. He throws for 213. Last week, Rod, we talked about having 3 unbeaten parochials that were a surprise, right? You had Holy Cross, you had Bishop Eustace, and you had Camden Catholic. After last week, there's only one, and that is Camden Catholic. Riverside beats Eustace 32-12. Dean Potts runs for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Xavier Parnell, 12 carries, 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. Princeton shuts out Holy Cross 3-0. And Camden Catholic, the lone unbeaten of the parochial schools, 48-22 over Haddon Heights. Mike Moritz, 135 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Nymir Daly catches 2 of them. And Bryce Clark, for the 3rd straight week, Bryce Clark has a knot of the week as he gets a pick 6. Rod, I think you have it here. You got to squint in here a little bit after the ball goes up, but here he is over on the sideline. He's reading, and the ball finds him. And one thing we've learned about Mr. Clark the last couple of weeks, when the ball finds him, he finds the end zone. Camden Catholic 48, Haddon Heights 22. Pennsville 19, Penns Grove 12. Robbie McDade throws for a touchdown and runs for 1. Luke Wood runs for a touchdown as the Eagles get their first win over Penns Grove since 2016. Mike Healy gets his first time hoisting the Norm Wildman Willie Boot Trophy as coach. Congratulations to Pennsville on breaking the streak against Penns Grove and getting that win. Bordentown beats Robbinsville 21-16. Connor Bramley has a game-winning pick six. Let's go through some others. We have that one, I think. No, we don't? Okay, great. Sorry, Connor, but congratulations. Game-winning pick six doesn't get much better than that. Other scores around the area from Friday night. Cinnaminson 28, Florence 0. Absegami 33, ACIT 0. EHT 33, Lower Cape May 3. Pittman 54, Lindenwold 0. Collingswood 20, Sterling 6. Palmyra 20, Maple Shade 6. Hopewell Valley remains undefeated, 35-12 over Seneca. Allentown 34, Northern Burlington 0. Notre Dame 41, Highland 16. Steiner 10, Morristown 0. Whew. A little bit harder to do this without Mac here to fill up some of this space, right?
Some of the open space, I got you. I got you covered on some of the games. The one that you spoke about a minute ago was the Allentown and Burlington Township, Northern Burlington game. Mm-hmm. I actually saw some clips from that one. That was I'm not going to say it was a pretty good game, but, Allentown definitely showed that they're, coming into this season a little bit different than the last couple of seasons. So I got to see that one. I was out of town, so it's kind of hard to comment on it.
Saturday, here we go, Rod. I got my second breath here. Saucon beats Eastside 13-8. RJ Blunt and Nazir Negron each a touchdown on the ground. Middle Township 13, Salem 7. Remy Rodriguez 148 yards rushing and a touchdown. Eastern 27, Trenton 2. Logan Dawson 8 for 10 through the air, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Kersey 2 rush touchdowns. Brian Thiel caught a touchdown pass in that one. Ewing 33, Kip Academy 14, Keensburg 21, Pemberton 14. But the game of the week, game of the day Saturday was certainly Overbrook and Clayton, Rob. First game we've had in South Jersey this year and probably in a while that ended in a tie, 42-42, Overbrook and Clayton, 3 overtimes. Mm-hmm. After 3 overtimes, that's it. That's the rule. That's the way that it goes. So let's go through some of the stats here. For Overbrook, Tariq Moore, 6 for 10, 119 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 6 carries, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Elvin Santiago caught 2 touchdowns. For Clayton, we know Demetrius Williams gets it done. He did again on Saturday, 22 carries, 131 yards and a touchdown. And Enoch Figueroa, 17 carries, 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. First overtime, they both get a touchdown and 2-point conversion. Second overtime, they both get a touchdown, no 2-point conversion. And in the final overtime, they both get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And it's 42-42. What do you think about that rule, Rob?
Talk about an evenly matched game.
Yeah.
42-42. I think I believe in college you have to go for 2 after a certain amount of times. So
I think now they just go for 2. After a certain amount of time. There is not even a drive.
Okay. So as far as high school, is there something to make you kick a field goal after the second time or move it a little closer, a little farther back? I mean,
that would be an interesting proposition since kicking is difficult to come by.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they should do that, throw that into the...
I know there was a tie earlier this year, and it seems like when you're talking triple overtime, and that's probably not going to happen too often, but now it's happened twice. Maybe it's worth revisiting and figuring out the best way to break the tie.
For sure.
We also had a game on Monday as Shalleck beat Paulsboro 17-10. That game, the game had to be postponed. I think they investigated to make sure everything was secure for the game. They played it Monday. Shalleck beats Paulsboro 17-10.
So Shalleck has their quarterback back.
Yep, Kenai
Simmons, right? So they've been a little different. Earlier in the season, I know there was some games that they lost early, but since he's come back, they seem like they're back on a roll and going to be competing again.
Yeah, in the opener, you could tell at Battle of the Beach when they lost to Cedar Grove, and Cedar Grove was an excellent team, but you could tell how much they missed him. I mean, you take a guy like that, as dynamic as he is, and as much as he's done for that program in the last few years. Another program that started from scratch a few years ago, and now look at him. Simmons has done so much for them that without him, when you lose your star player or one of your star players, I know Allen is also one of their stars down there, the running back. But when you lose one of your star players in Group 1,
Yeah, that's big.
that's a huge deal.
And especially at quarterback,
Yeah.
a position that touches the ball every play, and him being a dynamic playmaker, it definitely affects what they want to do offensively.
They've won 3 in a row since losing 26-0 to Woodstown. They beat
Right.
Pennsgrove 21-2. They beat Salem 37-14. And then they beat Paulsboro this week 17-0. So the defense is playing well. Shalleck gets that win on an unusual Monday start time. We'll see what happens in Group 1. I know, Glassboro is certainly up here at the top, but you got Woodstown, you got Shalleck, you got some other teams that might be in the mix there. So we'll see how that shakes out. We're not far from the playoffs, Rob, when you sit back and look at it.
So I was thinking about that too on the
Yeah.
ride home. I'm like, man, we're midway through the season, and you're starting to figure out who's who, right? So you just spoke about Group 1. You have Glassboro, they're the team to beat. I mean, that's kind of obvious, right? Based on what they've been able to do and the output they've been able to put up, and they look really good. I mean, getting Kenny, back in the backfield, he's the stabilizer, right? He can kind of help out your quarterback and open some things up because you got to load the box. And you read the stat, what, 3 touches, 3 touchdowns, or something
Maury,
ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, so you have them, and then you get to that second tier. You have your Shallecks, and you have the other teams that are trying to figure out where they're going to fit into that category, which are Woodstown, some other teams as well. But it's a loaded Group 1 on, I guess, I don't want to say the second tier, but when you have Glassboro up there rolling, the second tier, it's going to be a fight. And I'm not saying that they can't knock them off. It's going to be a fight for them to, get in a position come playoff time so they can have that opportunity to knock them off.
Well, if you remember last year, Woodstown was really doing their thing. I mean, all year long. And they were, I think, a little bit more well-rounded than Glassboro.
Right.
But they played in the semifinal there, and defense was Glassboro's calling card. This year they have much more firepower on offense than they did last year.
Right.
They weren't the more balanced team overall, but the defense did its job. Special teams, Xavier Sabb won them the game. They took that. They went to the state final. Now they lost in the state final, but what that says is, you don't have to be a perfect product when you get in a one-game situation. And Glassboro now looks like they're a pretty polished product,
right.
But last year is a different story. So other teams can take note of that too in terms of their journey and say it's been done before. Let's just put it together. Let's stay true to our identity.
Right.
That's a big thing I think about. Like, do you at this point of the year, you don't have to be the best at everything, but you got to know who you are and what you do well.
And that's why it's important, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a it's not a sprint.
It's a marathon,
right? So that's why I'm saying those guys in that second tier right now that we're talking about, they're teams that still are kind of figuring out who they are. They're close to where they need to be, so they can put up the best fight that they can in any given Sunday, any given Saturday, Friday, or Thursday nowadays.
Yeah.
Kids go to school. Somebody gets sick. Someone having an issue in school, and anything could happen to throw off someone who's rolling. I mean, we're watching a game right now where the best team in baseball may be having a quick exit.
Yep.
Right? So that's how it happens.
If you get hot, it doesn't matter who's playing best right now. It matters who's playing best at the end of the year. We got some good games coming up this weekend, Rob. We're going to take a break here at the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. We'll be back with the preview of the weekend. Then we'll take another quick break. We'll come back with our Game of the Week preview as well as our Best 11 rankings. So sit tight. We'll be right back after this. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show's presenting sponsor is the West Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by SRA Home Products. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had nothing but the best to say about Mike Foti in the time I've had the chance to be around him and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up Best of South Jersey awards throughout their past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by the NJFOA South Officials Association. Are you passionate about football? Don't wait. Become a part of the NJFOA South Officials Association and join them to help officiate high school football games. With a diverse community of more than 250 members, they proudly oversee every high school football game in South Jersey, setting the standard for officiating in the state. By joining the chapter, you will become part of a team that upholds the highest standards in the game. They are more than just officials. They're advocates for sportsmanship, integrity, and guardians of player safety, champions of fair play. They offer the proper training to ensure you're ready to make the calls and uphold the values. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Visit www.njfoasouth.org and hit Join Us to register now. That's www.njfoa-south.org and hit Join Us to register now. Elevate your love for the game and become a football official with NJFOA South. Welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Let's take a look at some of the games we have in action this week. So, we have games scattered along the weekend here. We've got the high holidays for some. If you're celebrating, best wishes to you. Thursday night, 6 p.m., Ron Glassboro is going to Cinnaminson. Cinnaminson comes off a win over Florence last week. They didn't give up any points. Glassboro didn't give up any points in a blowout win that they had last week over Deptford, 51-0. The question really becomes, what can Cinnaminson do to slow Glassboro down? They're going to try to play some possession football. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to keep the ball away from the playmakers that Glassboro has. But the problem is now with Kenny Smith in the backfield, when you play Glassboro, he can take it all the way on any given play, or somebody else can. So Glassboro at Cinnaminson, 6 p.m. Cherry Hill East and Cherry Hill West are playing at East. 6 p.m. on Thursday night. This used to be the Turkey Day Eve game. This was a big one. I covered it for many years when I was at the Courier Post. The battle for another boot. We talked about the Wild Man Willie boot, but this is also for the boot. So Cherry Hill West at Cherry Hill East, 6 o'clock. Battle of Undefeateds. Hopewell Valley at Burlington Township. Neither team has played a close game. I think the closest game that Burlington Township's played is maybe 21 points, somewhere around there. Steve Everett undefeated in his first run as coach of the Falcons. Hopewell Valley, they've been dominant. They rolled over Seneca last week. That'll be a good one. That's at Burlington Township at 6 p.m. Mainland and Egg Harbor, a lot of local bragging rights on the line there as the Mustangs look to continue to resurrect things after they had a couple of rough weeks. They're at EHT at 6 p.m. And Pennsauken and Shawnee, two teams that you don't usually see face each other unless it's in a Group 4 playoff or something like that. I don't even know if they played in the playoffs. But Code Red, Pennsauken beats Eastside on Saturday. Shawnee, again, close. Couldn't quite get it done against Cherokee. They're going to host Saucon Thursday at 6 p.m. Some good games on the schedule. That Saucon game, I would expect a lot of it to come on the ground. You look at the way they ran the ball against Eastside, I think they won 16-8. I think they only threw for 37 yards in that game. I know Shawnee doesn't air it out much. They've been running it a lot between the tackles. I would expect a ground and pound matchup there with Saucon and Shawnee. And Mac will be there, and Saucon will be playing. It's probably the first time he's seen Saucon play here in a little bit.
Yeah, that kid RJ is really good for Pennsauken.
Yeah.
So he's strong. So I watched him a couple times. As the game goes on, he gets a little bit stronger. So the run game at Pennsauken, if anything they're going to do, they're going to run the ball. I mean, that's something that they've established over the last couple of years as being good for their, running backs.
Something I would look for in this game as maybe a deciding factor or something that could tilt an advantage would be special teams. I'd look at a game like this where I think the score could be fairly low. Maybe look at, if it might get lost in the stats, might be a field position thing, something like that. But Pensauken at Shawnee, 6 p.m. Friday, Rod, you got, look, Black Horse Pike District Rivalry, Triton at Highland, 6 p.m. Here's another one, ACIT at St. Joe Hamilton at 6 p.m. Coach Sacco, over assistant at ACIT, heading back to St. Joe, where, of course, he won a lot of games over the years. Timber Creek at Camden. Now, Winslow wasn't too kind to Camden last week, and now they're going to host the team that's just across the street from them in Timber Creek. Another one where there'll be a lot of familiarity there. I think you're streaming that one, right?
Yeah, we'll be at the Timber Creek at Camden game. That looks to be a good game. And always with that one with Timber Creek and Camden, Coach Henson, you look at the coaching staffs.
That's right.
People that have gone to Timber Creek, so it's a little familiarity there. So it should be a really good game. As well as that Atlantic Tech and St. Joe's. You think Sacco is not sitting back saying, I got something for y'all? I mean.
Well, that game is, it's funny how it plays out, right? How the schedule breaks out, and here you go. I'll say I think there'll be more people interested in that game than would be interested in it if it was similar teams,
right?
Just for that storyline alone. 7 p.m. You got Paul VI at Notre Dame, parochial clash. I know they played here recently. I think they played a classic last year. I believe Paul VI won that game. Oakcrest at Pleasantville, another local rivalry down the shore. And Eustis and Holy Cross. We thought they'd be both undefeated maybe coming in this game. Eustis loses by 20 to Riverside. Cross loses to Princeton by 3. That's not the case, but still, this is a game where one of them is only going to have one loss unless they pull a Clayton and Overbrook in this one. Even then, still, they'd only have one loss, but they'd have a tie. The two good stories in South Jersey this year with what T.J. Madera's done at Holy Cross and what Sal Roccabaldo has done at Eustis.
And, that's another clash game. That's another game where people are familiar with each other. Holy Cross, Bishop Eustis, they're staples here in South Jersey. Their programs used to be staples, so they're trying to build it back up to get it to be a household name like it used to be. And they're two programs that pretty much parallel right now at the exact same time, and they're competing to get some of the similar kids.
That's right.
So
you can't forget about that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, you when you come down to selecting schools, especially when you're talking about privates, Bishop Eustis, Holy Cross, Camden Catholic, Paul VI, those guys, they're all close to each other. They're all an option. So it's definitely going to be a game where if they say you can't recruit, but you better believe if that game is won by the other team, you're going to use that against them.
No question. Saturday, 11 a.m., Winslow at Camden Eastside. Winslow, if you're looking to see them and you want to see them without not being under the lights, feel free to go over to the east side on Federal Street as Winslow comes to town, 11 a.m. Woodstown at Haddon Heights, 11 a.m., another game in the local area right around the city there. Willingboro at Woodbury, Rod, this is an interesting one. I think Woodbury's looking for their signature game. And Willingboro, I mean, they did have the setback to Paul VI.
And Timber Creek.
And Timber Creek, but they're a very good team, and they're building, Coach Scott is building towards the playoffs in Group 2.
I think that's a little bit surprised. Some people are a little bit surprised at some of the success that Coach Kenny's having, Coach Scott. Taking over a program that had success with winning championships. They had a good quarterback. You get some of the kids that leave the school. You're kind of looking at it as to say how much can he do in his first year. So with him being able to string along some wins, play competitive against some bigger schools, so to say, with Paul VI and Timber Creek, he's putting together a good year to keep that area of Willingboro behind him and supporting him.
Yeah.
And that's very, very important when you're a first-year coach in a new program, a new area that's not truly familiar with the success that you've had at other schools.
And look at who you're following. I mean, those are big shoes to follow. What Coach Everett has done at Willingboro the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, was really not just in terms of what they did on the field.
Exactly.
But you're sending kids to college. Now you have a turf field. You've got the buy-in of the community. Whereas before, maybe kids from Willingboro were going elsewhere. Now they're staying home.
Right.
To keep that up, it's not easy. But Coach Scott is game for the task, and he's doing a great job in his first year. So that good shout out there, Rod, for sure. Camden Catholic at Overbrook Saturday at 11 a.m. And if you're looking for a game at noon, Pennsville at Paulsboro. Paulsboro played on Monday. Pennsville won their rivalry game last week. We mentioned that, beating Pennsgrove for the boot. Pennsgrove has like 6 rivals, feels like.
Yeah.
Every game's a rivalry game for Pennsgrove.
Listen, in that area of the state,
Yeah.
it's definitely a rivalry between Pennsville, Paulsboro, Pennsgrove, Salem. I mean, none of them like each other, right? I mean,
Yeah. Woodstown.
Woodstown,
You're exactly right, man. Salem County football, I know it's, look, man, you never know what you're going to get. But Pennsville at Paulsboro at noon. Our game of the week I didn't mention yet, but it's right around the corner. So we're going to take one more break. We'll come back, game of the week preview, best 11 rankings. Sit tight if you're there. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show's presenting sponsor is the West Jersey Football Coaches Association. The West Jersey Football Coaches Association was established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. And in less than 4 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and dedicated itself to helping others. They've donated close to $80,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for their sponsorship of the show. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by SRA Home Products. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had nothing but the best to say about Mike Foti in the time I've had the chance to be around him and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up Best of South Jersey awards throughout their past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by the NJFOA South Officials Association. Are you passionate about football? Don't wait. Become a part of the NJFOA South Officials Association and join them to help officiate high school football games. With a diverse community of more than 250 members, they proudly oversee every high school football game in South Jersey, setting the standard for officiating in the state. By joining the chapter, you will become part of a team that upholds the highest standards in the game. They are more than just officials. They're advocates for sportsmanship, integrity, and guardians of player safety, champions of fair play. They offer the proper training to ensure you're ready to make the calls and uphold the values. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Visit www.njfoasouth.org and hit Join Us to register now. That's www.njfoa-south.org and hit Join Us to register now. Elevate your love for the game and become a football official with NJFOA South. Welcome back, New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show here at Studio B with Rod Self. No Mac this week, unfortunately, and Mac, we've missed the quotes that you provide. We've missed the energy. It's just we're doing our best, man. But it's it's like we said earlier with Shalik. I mean, they had to play without one of their star players, and we're playing without one of our stars tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't give you the Coach Mac talk. I can't give you the Pinsock.
That energy, man. He just got that wild energy.
I can't give you the Hickses and the Taylor stories. I don't have those, but I'm trying to hold it down for you.
No, I don't know where Mac is. Again, I want to be clear. I don't know where he is. But I can tell you this: with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, I know he wishes he was here versus wherever he was, as the Mets lead 4-1. Now, I hope there's something that changes that makes him happy as all get out to be wherever he is.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think he would rather be in the confines of this studio.
Yeah, this game's not looking good, Mark. It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. But you know what? The best team is winning. I mean, the better team is winning.
Yeah.
And that's the case. It's been clear from the beginning of this series that the better team is wearing blue and orange. All right, game of the week. We will see who the better team is in Group 5, Rod. Last year they played in the playoffs. This game is Thursday at 6 p.m. So Thursday at 6 p.m. It was 19-7 when they played last year in the Group 5 semifinals and the sectional semifinals. This year we'll see if it's any different. Rancocas Valley 4-2 heads to Washington Township, who's 5-1. An interesting game. Adams has done great for RV. They put up some big numbers in some games. They're always going to be able to run the ball. They're always going to be able to do a couple different things offensively. They have a lot of good skill kids. In Washington Township, I mean, they lost to Millville, but other than that, they've just been churning forward. Aquino's been doing his thing. Last week, Pratt, 180-plus yards receiving. I think it was, or 130-plus. I don't want to get that wrong.
I wanted to say that because Pratt has been a good addition.
Yeah.
He gives them another punch, other opposite of Long. So he's a guy that can kind of change the game for them as well. And he puts them in the game athletically where, you can't just spy on Long. You have to keep your eye on him. So he's been a great addition. He's going to be a great addition to that team.
Yeah, I mean, they're always Washington Township and RV both are going to be able to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do the other things? And you talk about the bigger picture here from Group 5, and Pratt did have 186 yards receiving. Can you do the other things? Can you be a little bit more well-rounded? We talked about before, you got to know your identity. But you're talking about Group 5 ball, you've got to be able to do a little bit of everything. Like, you don't have to do it all great, but you have to have at least, if you're not balanced with which Washington Township is, being able to run and those two receivers and Aquino, you have to have the illusion of balance.
Right.
One way or another, there has to be preparation on the other side. These two teams could very well see each other in the playoffs again. They've got two of the better young coaches in South Jersey in terms of Mike Schatzman, Garrett Lucas, guys who full of energy. They've taken those programs from places that, a couple of years ago the question was, how can RV not be good? Or for years, how can Washington Township not be better? Look at the size of these schools, the facilities, the community waiting to latch on to something.
And just the sheer history.
Yeah, and the sheer history, and they both have done that. So a very big hats off to both those guys, good coaches, RV, Washington Township. And, what I want to see is that RV run game against the front seven of Washington Township. I like Washington Township up front. I haven't seen them since the opener. I haven't seen RV since the opener. They were both at Battle at the Beach. RV lost to a very good Pascack Valley team, and Washington Township beat, I believe it was Northern Highlands. And when you watched those games, you could tell right from the start the strengths of each team. RV hadn't quite put it together yet. I think they have come further in that side. But Washington Township, that defensive front and the linebackers, it's hard to move the ball on them consistently. So that's what I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'm going to go into that game looking for is just the big play. Who can eliminate the big play?
Yeah.
Just watching the Camden RV game, that's an area where RV has to get a little bit better in.
Yeah.
If they can eliminate the big play, it'll definitely play for a better game for them. It'll put them in a better situation where they can keep the game close and, look to upset Township. I think Township is a favorite coming into this.
No question. Township is a favorite, but the methodology of how the game plays out. Township is going to be methodical. They know what they want to do, and they know how they want to execute it. RV, as you said, at points when they're playing their best, they've shown They're a very talented team and a good bunch. But have they been consistent through the course of a game?
Exactly.
They scored 27 against Camden.
Exactly.
Other than Winslow last week, and nobody. I mean, Holy Spirit scored 23 against, and they had twice inside the 20. So that was there, but they also gave up 44. When we saw them in Pascack Valley in the Battle of the Beach, they played well, but they fumbled the ball on a kickoff. The next thing, there was mistakes, penalties, things that put them behind. So they need to play a full, clean game. That's what they're looking at. And Township's proven they've been able to do that week in, week out. Best 11 rankings. Here we go, folks. Burlington Township, number 11. Battle of Unbeatens this weekend. They'll play Hopewell Valley. Kevin Emmons, you got in there in the chat. That's going to be a big one. Paul to 6 at number 10. They have a big one at Notre Dame this week. In Glassboro, number 9, they rolled past Deptford 51-0, and they will play Cinnaminson this week. Atlantic City, number 8, they continue to stack wins after that 0-2 start. The Vikings at number 8. One of the teams that beat Atlantic City, Mainland, they're at 7. They grit one out against their rival, Ocean City, last week. Camden at number 6 took it on the chin against Winslow last week, but you know what? Winslow is pretty darn good, so we'll see more from Camden coming down the pike here. Washington Township at number 5. Like you said, they're the favorite in this game. In our game of the week this week, it's Thursday at 6 p.m. RV at Washington Township. St. Augustine let one slip, I think they would say, against Holy Spirit last week. They bumped down from number 2 to number 4. The team that jumps them, of course, is the team that just beat them, Holy Spirit, 14-10 in that one. If you missed the recap of that one, fast forward back to the beginning of the show. That was the game of the week, and it was pretty crazy how it transpired. I'm still a little bit shocked. So Spirit at number 3. The only team to beat Spirit happened at Battle of the Beach, 35-0. Millville is number 2. They took care of Delsey. Latsier Brooks became the first South Jersey receiver to reach 4,000 yards against the Crusaders in a 23-7 win last week. They are number 2. Number 1, make no bones about it, we know who it is. Winslow Township continues to impress. They play at Camden Eastside on Saturday. What do you think, Rod? Pretty good list?
Pretty good list. I thought you was asking me about the game on Saturday.
No.
I was going to say they need to probably move that one up to an 8 o'clock start, man. I mean, sheesh. Winslow, they coming in hot, though. They're coming in hot. Yeah. They're rolling. I
want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. I know there's a lot been going on. We've been trying to multitask. It's been interesting, but, I'm glad we were here at 7 p.m., or a little bit after that, just like always. Rod, I can't thank you enough, the D2 Sports Network, the guy who gets us all set here at Studio B. First-class studio. If you need any podcast needs, show needs, photo shoots, reach out to Rod. Rod, thanks for everything, man.
Thanks, Mark. And I just want to say this, Mark. We are a dedicated crew.
No question.
Everybody is at home on the couch screaming at the TV, watching the Phillies, able to just express themselves while we're in here watching them hit home runs in grand slams.
We're screaming internally.
And can't say nothing. But great job today, Mark.
Thank you. We love you guys. Thank you. Share this out. I hope you have, again, if you celebrate the high holidays this weekend, enjoy the time. And lots of games. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You get out to games as you wish. We'll be back here next week at 7 p.m. with Mac. We'll talk some Pensacola football. You know where we'll be. That's all we have. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Thank you for tuning in. Have a safe